Hey guys, welcome to our review of episode 8 of Star Wars Andor, Narkina 5, which is starting a new 3-episode arc as Andor has been doing already. So there's a lot of setup in this one. It's a little slow, but it is planting the seeds for the fruit to grow later on. I still think it was pretty fascinating. We see the inner workings. Last episode, Andor was imprisoned, and this episode we get to see the inner workings of an Imperial prison, and it's pretty cool to see. Like they make them take the shoes off, and they can control them. Basically, there's no riots that are going to happen in this prison unless you can levitate and or monkey bars on the roof, because your bare feet are touching metal, and they can pretty much zap you until you're dead. And they make their labor camps. So they basically, now we know how we get all that labor and power and vehicles and weapons built for the Empire. You have all these labor camps. And I guess they're building what to me looks like, I don't know, the side of a TIE fighter structure, just some random piece that could go into an AT-AT or something like that. But it's cool to see the inner workings of the prison. So they got, and Andor, this whole episode doesn't really say much. He does the same face kind of thing. He's looking around the whole episode, right? But I'm hoping he's taking it all in, right? Timing things, kind of figuring out, oh, these officers are wearing these electrical boots. So what I think we're leading up to is a prison break, right? Yeah. So we had our sort of security force resistance episode arc. Then we had our bank heist arc. And now we're going to have our prison break arc. At least I think so. Yeah. So what did you guys think of this episode?
Yeah, this was a little bit slower paced, but I did enjoy it. Everyone's looking for Andor. And Andor's just like coming into terms with the gravity of his situation. Boom. He's like, man, like he doesn't say much. He's like, well, I'm really stuck here for like 6 years.
6 years for just being in the wrong place.
Yeah, so I see him looking around, and it does look like he's going to try to obviously escape. But it was still a good episode.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I really like this episode. This episode perfectly displays the absolute failure of the streaming model that most of the services do, though. I keep saying it, and I need people to also say it. Mm-hmm. The way that Stranger Things released is the way that these streaming shows should release. Mm-hmm. This episode, when you follow it with all the other ones, you can watch them in a big block. Mm-hmm. A lot of people aren't liking this one. I like this one because you see that they're planting seeds. You get the despair, the tension, all of the things that happen in this episode. But honestly, we should be watching this episode, the next episode, and the following one.
That's why I think people aren't liking it, because it's like people are not very patient these days. Yeah. And they are trained, like you said, they're trained for pretty much every other release, which is one episode at a time. Other directors try to stick a few things in to make a single episode satisfying. This director, they don't really care about that. It's like, look, I'm setting things up at my own fucking pace. I'm not going to force a story in where it doesn't need to be.
Yeah, you just put the finale, the last 3 episodes, in a month later, let people digest it at the correct pace, and then you actually don't have these episodes where people are not satisfied, which is a shame because I think there's a lot of really good things here. I love that we're constantly seeing an empire that's not just a bunch of idiots who have stormtroopers that miss and they lose the teddy bears, and they're not just incompetent assholes. We see what happens when the Emperor has closed his fist and says, I'm in charge. I control the fucking galaxy, and I buy it. And I don't I don't buy it in Star Trek or Star Wars anymore, because the people who've been writing Star Wars are writing it for like really stupid children, and this is written for, I mean, I think even kids can be watching this, but I mean, this is they're treating their audience like adults. And again, I'm still really liking it.
Oh, a kid has checked out of this a long time ago. That's my opinion. But I love, the first order. I agree with Alex. The first order, you look at them, you're like, these motherfuckers, they don't rule nothing. They don't control shit, And here, this is the Empire at the height of their power. So we jump back and forth between a few storylines. This time we got Mom Mothma, which I feel like her inclusion in this episode doesn't really go anywhere. It's kind of a repeat of what was happening the last episode, which was amazing. Those intrigue and political maneuverings are kind of repeated here to a lesser degree, as the gentleman that she was meeting up with before in order to deal with the money is having money issues now, as the banking clans are clamping down.
Impactful things happened. They just wasn't directed in a way that made it seem impactful. I mean, the guy said, like, look, I don't think I could touch your money. I'm being audited all the time. And so she's going to be backed into a corner where she has to use Luthen and his money, which she didn't want to do. So now she's not going to have it. But it's just like, he's just like, hey, and he mentions something, then walks away. Yeah. And I think it had to be portrayed in a different situation if that was their goal. Otherwise, I don't know why she was even in this episode.
Yeah, so that's what, yeah, I agree. So next we have Vel and Sintra travel to Ferrix to search for him. Vel and Sintra, if you'll forget, because I don't really remember any of these character names, to be perfectly honest, except for Andor and Mon Mothma, some of the major ones. Luthen, I remember, Luthen. But these are the girls that had helped out on the bank heist mission. And again, not really adding much. They're waiting around for Andor, see if he shows up. One of the girls is in love with they're in love with each other. And she's like, hey, let's do this. And it's like, look, the Empire didn't take breaks. Just shut up. Let's get back on task here, kind of thing. And then she looks menacingly out a window. I'm like, man, it would be great if we got her to fucking, I don't know, assassinate somebody, because she's supposed to be the tough one of the group. It would have been cool to see her do some kind of thing where the Empire may be catching on. It's so we avoid that for a little bit. But no, it's basically just some talking. And they are kind of adjacent to Andor's, where he might come back to, which is his mother figure and Bix. And his collar, white collar worker friend working in the ship yards. Comes by visiting his mother, and she's doing, I don't know, rebellion things. Grandma doing rebellion things. Can't stop her from doing it. She's getting
rebel
old.
At heart.
Yeah, she's checking the tunnels to see that the rebellion can still come through, and she has a fall. And you can tell these are good people. Bix and the gentleman want to help her out. But eventually we get a confrontation between this Imperial officer who has been very ambitious, and she's been looking for the rebellion, and she gains the scent here and manages to run into Bix, and she's going to interrogate her in one of those chairs. I wonder if she's going to bring one of them floating balls or something. Try to get the location of Andor. Everybody looking for Andor.
Yep.
I mean, the Empire already has him, but they don't realize how important he is. I think he's using like a certain fake name or whatever.
Yeah, the cliff.
So it's going to be interesting. We also get, but I did like Luthen's stuff. So Luthen manages to pick up a signal from Bix. His assistant's like, no, we got to ignore this. The Empire's hot. And he's like, but it's Andor. But, I guess he has an attachment to Andor. And he's like, he helped us out with this. I got to help out. And so he actually leaves on his ship, and he visits a guest star appearance from Saw Gerrera, who we know is, a rebel resistance fighter. This is the guy that started the rebellion before the rebellion was out there. He's just anarchy. He's kind of a loose cannon. By the time we see him in the Disney sequel trilogy, he's tired. He just wants to blow up. But before then, he was supposed to be a badass, and I'm hoping we'll get to see, I don't know, some of that here, which would maybe if Prison Break. He seems kind of uninterested to help Luthen, who wants these different separate rebel factions.
He works alone, so.
To all kind of come together and work together, because in this particular sector, if you're not working together, the Empire is going to crush you all, and you're not going to do very much. So kind of hurts his ego there. They trade barbs, and whether it's going to be effective enough for Saw Gerrera to maybe change his mind later on, we shall see. What do you guys think?
I love that he didn't. I mean, in Rogue One, I felt like he was overacting. He was probably my least favorite part of Rogue One, where he's and they really toned it down here. I mean, I know it's supposed to be earlier, and he's younger. But I mean, this is one of the pieces of dialogue that I really like. I mean, you get an appropriate barb. It's like, aren't you tired of always fighting with people who agree with you? And it's like, stop eating your own, you goddamn imbecile. Like we have conversations about everyone on the fascist side rallying together, and then everyone over here who should be able to fight them can't because they're eating each other.
Yeah.
And so this was a good set of dialogue, and because some of them were
Yeah.
kind of weak in this episode.
Yeah, so we get the female Imperial officer also has a subplot with I guess her last name Miro is questioning Karn. So Alex, what do you think about Karn?
Cyril?
This is Cyril Karn.
Cyril
Karn.
It's a weird ass name.
They're Star Wars names, Joe, and they're hard to remember.
Well, yeah, not everyone's named Aegon, so it's
Aegon, Aemon.
Yeah. It's this one's a pretty good one. Again, like this one, I don't think was super compelling. I like that we finally that's not this loose thread hanging off on the side plot. This is how we get in there.
Starting to come
ties in.
together.
Yeah.
A few of these are
Yes.
boop, boop, linking in certain ways as we're planting the seeds. Slow pace. I can see why some people are like, oh, but no, just wait, be patient, live in the world, breathe the world, take in the lore. This is the kind of stuff when I see people say, oh, Rings of Power. I like watching it for the world building. It's like that. That didn't do a very good job here. This is building the
They
fucking
actually
world.
give you time, yeah.
Probably a little too much. We got like 15 minutes of fucking, drilling a piece of a TIE fighter. And I was like, damn, okay, we're doing this a lot. But I certainly got it. Now I know how to assemble one of those pieces. But yeah, so Karn basically... in her search for more information, in her over-aggressive ambition, she runs into the one guy who they kind of hid under the rug and, punished. But he's got some information. He's ambitious on his own. And she just gets some information from him. And he's like, wait, okay, I can help. Said, yo, thank you for your service to your empire. I will log up, And he's like, but I can actually help. I know this kind of stuff. And I within 2 days I almost had him, and then she's like, if you ever bring this up again, you will be punished.
You won't be dealing with me.
And then she walks out. So I'm like, what? She should want his help, right? But is this just she's so ambitious and she could tell he's ambitious and they don't want to? Are we creating a conflict here? Or if maybe later on she will tap him? Just not in official
Yeah, because I don't think that's
channels.
the end of his chapter yet.
I don't know. Clearly not.
Yeah.
Clearly not. Because they set him up at the Bureau. He is fish out of water there. He's like wasted potential here. He is an attack dog, and he needs to be sent on after Andor and the rebellion. But right now, she doesn't want to utilize him like that.
Yeah,
So
he's just a failed corporate contracting fool. Like he's not shown himself in any circumstance, right? He's like, I almost had him. It's like, so you failed and you've never done anything.
which
I
is
think
actually building character if he eventually gets sick of trying to be the lapdog.
I think he's
Maybe
gonna
that could be a convert, right?
Yeah, I think that he's going to double down his efforts, maybe do them a little bit more secretly, find a piece of information and say, look, you fucking need me. Exactly like she did with her boss, right? She went out there and he said, shut the fuck up, you've got no evidence. And he slapped her down and then showed up with evidence, and then she got promoted, and he's gonna show up with evidence, and then he'll get promoted. But it's like you can't he's a security guard. He's a mall security guard that failed. And you're like, you want that guy on your team?
Yeah.
Like, no.
Oh,
Yeah.
Paul Blart.
Yeah.
Hey man, he takes that shit serious. This guy I can tell takes it serious.
Paul Blart-
I'd want
Blart
him
took
on
it
my
serious.
He
team.
did.
I want him on my team. But I was talking about maybe after constant slapping down and constant ignoring him, and if he gets close to the rebellion, maybe he switches sides. But
I think he's
he
too
does
far
seem,
gone.
He does seem to have a personal vendetta. Like the only reason why he's still gone is because he's got to get revenge on Andor for fucking it up for him. You know
You
what
got to
I mean?
have some major huevos to join the rebellion, and this is the only man I've ever seen in any Star Wars thing get out of the way of a mouse droid. So I don't think that that this guy is joining.
And have his mother
Yeah, he's like,
yell at
"Ugh."
him for the way he dresses. Oh, shut up, Mom, is what he's saying. And he's eating his cornflakes in the morning. So
Sugarless blue milk corn.
we got that in Star Wars now, but this time in a good way. Instead of the blue and the green milk from the titty, squeezing the titty in your mouth like Luke Skywalker.
That he's dead.
Anyways, sorry for reminding everybody about the
Jedi?
sequels. Oh, which there is some news. I was gonna do maybe a separate video on it, but might as well mention it here that there's the potential that they're doing a new movie with the Lost Riders in a time period that is immediately after the Disney sequel trilogy. So. Not really excited about that. Not looking forward to it. It was trending on Twitter. These particular writers, and maybe we'll see cameos from the sequel characters like, I don't know, Rey. Though I think Finn, I don't think his actor's like really wanting to work with Disney again, because he's like, they kind of fucked him over. They fucked up Finn really bad. And but you know what? If that movie is like, all right, our sole purpose is to fix Finn and give him a real character arc, then that would be the only thing that interests me. If it's something about Rey or
It's got to be.
I don't know, I just anybody else, I don't really care. Poe maybe, but I don't care. So we'll see what happens with that. But who knows? I mean, I didn't think I'd care about Andor. They get these writers to help them out, maybe, but I don't think they will. Especially the Lost writers, right? I hate that writing style of mystery boxes upon mystery boxes upon mystery boxes with no real end goal, and then you just go and go and go, and then the ending is not that satisfying. At least that's what Lost was, so I don't know if that's what they plan to do. Maybe he's learned his lesson from that. But anyway, Andor is still doing well, so let's go with final verdicts.
Go ahead.
I'm going to give this one a 7. I think it's a good, solid episode. I think that, again, it's hard to judge this episode for the way that this series is released. The thing is, the showrunners knew how this was going to be released. They were told that it's got to be every single week. And so I think that there are some feelings. There's some wonderful bits of dialogue where we get the trading of barbs between Luthen and Saw. We kind of got some uninteresting stuff with Mon Mothma that I think that they kind of... those scenes lacked impact. The two assassin ladies, they're there to murder Andor, that completely lacked impact. And so I needed more to really hit the heights that this thing has. Still on board, still like this, but I think it's definitely a fallen quality from some of the previous stuff we've seen.
Yeah, I agree with the 7. This is a good watch, but it was tense. It's very slow paced. So that's why I was like, and the back and forth switching kind of threw me off.
Yeah. So you agree with me that I might have said this or we crashed, but it goes from the prison to Mon Mothma too quickly.
Yeah.
Let them breathe a little longer. Let them take each individual scene, and unnecessarily, really. It's like one scene she's looking out a window, and then the next scene goes back to the prison. It's like, cut this or squeeze them together.
Yeah, and also we didn't need to show off the entire shift in the prison. They're just working and working. It's like,
they wanted you to feel the prison.
We get it.
They wanted you to feel that prison.
You never would have seen the top of Andy Serkis's ass had they not shown everything, right?
Oh, that's right. How can we not mention this? So Andy Serkis is playing yet another villain, and we immediately know more about this villain than we do about Snoke. So
he's not a villain. He's a good guy, but he's one of the prisoners.
He's
just
almost
an
done
asshole.
with his job.
Yeah, he's 5 days from retirement.
I'm guaranteeing they're gonna have to deal with this guy when they do the prison break. So it's gonna be fun too. And he's a great actor, and it's good to see him in live action, letting him do his thing. So, anyways, I'm gonna agree. 7 out of 10. I could see people. I mean, I can see people who, if they're like, all right, this week I'm gonna finally check out Andor, and they just jump into this episode, then that's probably not gonna work out too well. Maybe 4, 5, 6. But you have to realize that what you're doing is you're taking this 3-episode arc. Think of it like a trilogy, and you're just don't think of it like a trilogy. Think of it like 1/3 of a movie. You know what I mean? You're picking out 1/3 of a movie, and you're like, rate this 1/3 but I don't know where it's going. And then that rating will be strengthened. It could be strengthened. It could be lower depending on where this is going. So I'm gonna go with a 7 out of 10 as well. So still enjoying Star Wars Andor very much so, and another series has come out just recently, Star Wars Tales of the Jedi, so we might check that out. Thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoy these extra additional reviews, consider backing us on Patreon or here on YouTube. Hit the subscribe button, and thank you guys so much. We'll see you on the next Angry Joe Show. Bye, guys.